also maintain a kosher cookbook page on Facebook, and I am the owner of kosherbygloria.com, a new website that's about to open soon. I'm now going to prepare smashed root vegetables with caramelized onions. In this pot, I've got a combination of parsnips. It's about 5 or 6 pounds of root vegetables. The recipe actually calls for parsnips and turnips and potatoes. I find that when I reheat it on a second day, the turnips don't always have such a pleasant aroma or flavor. So I've replaced the turnips with celery root this time. Big ugly vegetable that's very hairy and bumpy. Usually you lose about a half a pound when you peel it, so you can count that in when you measure it before. Again, all these recipes are very forgiving, so if you have a little half a pound more or less, it really doesn't make much difference. This is a completely white vegetable dish. My mother can't eat any green, yellow, or orange vegetables, so over the years I have gotten a whole bunch of white vegetables, red vegetables, anything that she can eat that won't upset her. So I have pre-cooked all these vegetables with a big bunch of thyme and bay leaf, which are tied up in a string, and I can just take out. Of course, some of them fell out, but I've developed sort of asbestos fingers over the years, so we'll just pick it out. And here we go. This has become like one of my favorite tools in the kitchen. It's called a slider. Instead of having to dump everything, and I don't really have the leverage of taking a big pot like this and dumping it into the sink, I can just lift the vegetables out and have all the liquid spill out the bottom and just have vegetables, which makes life much easier for me. I'm usually here cooking by myself, and I don't often have a tall person available to lift the heavy things. It smells so good. I'm sorry you can't smell it, but the thyme just smells wonderful. Actually, this wouldn't be, you could keep all this stock and use it as a base for soup. I mean, it's all delicious, which is what I think I would do and use it for this weekend. Instead of opening a box of vegetable stock, you have vegetable stock sitting right here with thyme and a fresh bay leaf in it. And there we go. All right, so we have the vegetables here, and then we have the leftover stock here, which you could use for cooking. You could do this with chicken stock, but my daughter's vegetarian, so I do all these things, all the vegetables I do as vegetarian, with either a box of broth or, in this case, its own natural juices. I think I had another stick of... Okay, so here are all my smashed vegetables that were basically covered with water in the pot. They were brought to a boil and then covered with a top, and they cooked for about, they simmered for about 35 to 40 minutes until they were really soft, and then I left the top on and they continued getting softer. It's very easy. You can just, I'm adding a stick of Earth Balance margarine to it, and again, it's just, this isn't supposed to be really smooth, it's smashed root vegetable, so it's like a very simple thing to do. It's chunky, and there's no problem if, in fact, it's better if it's not like a puree, it's just a chunky mix. Got a casserole pan here that I'm going to spray with a little, olive oil. Take this out of the way. I'm going to spray it. And then just pour all of this. It's a little bit easier to do with a spatula here. All of this into here. I have a hard time on Thanksgiving. I have about 25 or 30 people every year. Lots of kids, lots of grown-ups of all ages from 95 to whatever we consider a grown-up, maybe 30. I'm not sure. And all ages in between. And I can't choose what to make, so I just make everything. Consequently, the table is just full of everything. And then we have usually company for Shabbos after Thanksgiving, so they just get the leftovers, which generally aren't so bad. Okay, so I'm just smoothing this out because what makes this really special are these caramelized onions that I started cooking a while ago. It's about 5 onions in some margarine, and I don't know if you can see. Let me see it. And it's amazing. There were 5 huge onions, and they fill the whole top of the pan, but as I cook them in the margarine and caramelize them so they've gotten nice and golden, they shrink down to nothing. So what looks like it's going to be too much is actually just enough. And I spread all of this on top of the root vegetables. And then when it goes back in the oven, the onions crisp up, and it is truly amazing. Sometimes when I have leftovers, I make more onions and just put it all through the layers because truly no one doesn't like caramelized onions. At least no one I've found. Not even as much as I thought. Over the years, I've developed a whole bunch of recipes that can be made in advance because I'm just not able to cook for 25 people overnight. So these things can all be frozen. Normally, I freeze the casserole by itself, and then I do the onions on the last day and put them on fresh.